I said, why not? Life talks with Joe Sinatra after dark, while we drink our water that we blessed from our hearts. Maybe I do have my life figured out in some form of way, or maybe some form of fashion. I never stop, so I don't get to stop to think. Right? I'm always overcompensating, for lack of a better term, rather than dealing with the obvious, right? But I figured the only way to deal with the obvious is to focus on my why while I heal on my way there. It took me a little while to even feel good about having a job again, right? Because it's just been so long that I'm being prevented from, just living a basic life without having a foot on my neck or somebody's hand in my pocket. No pun intended. Let me retract that statement because of what happened with Malcolm X and what the dude said, before he started shooting. But having somebody's hand waiting to take the hard-earned money that I just worked for, while knowing I'm working for something, I'm working on something hard. But I do help a lot of people when I get on here and I, just be myself. But maybe I do have my life figured out in some form or fashion. Because I see a lot of people that just don't. And no matter how hard they work, they have everything. But no matter how hard, what's up? What's up? Hope you're having a good day. Hope you're having a good evening. I like that name, by the way. That remind me of Avenged Sevenfold. That's one of my favorite. That's one of my first favorite rock bands. But I see a lot of people, and they just don't have it figured out. And it's so easy, right? Like maybe it's easier said than done. Maybe it's easier said than done because I'm not in their position. They have the advantage. I'm at the disadvantage, right? So if I was in that situation, who knows how my life would have been. That's why I don't go, thinking about going back to the past and redoing things and all that. I think about taking what I learned and what I've earned and what I've accomplished from life and just incorporate what I need to incorporate what works, be rid of what doesn't, and be okay with letting go of what doesn't work. But being at a disadvantage, it puts me in the spot where I feel like I always got to be like this, with the shield and the sword, just always ready to fight, always ready for war, always ready to, have to be in survival mode. And not having to be in survival mode allows I don't even know what it allows me to do because I just recently got out of survival mode, right? That whole staying with my sister, and then before that I was married. Like I never really gave myself a chance to be myself. You know, I was always looking to be in love. I was always looking to, you know, fit in, right? Even though as I was trying to fit in, I knew I didn't fit in and I wasn't trying to fit in, right? So I gotta go in my head and be like, what the fuck was I doing, right? Like maybe I was just listening to my father because he was always telling me to wait, relax. It's gonna happen when it happens. It's gonna happen in its time. But that's all fortune cookie crap, right? I can't do nothing with that. That's why I like whenever he told me to relax, I'm like, what am I gonna do when I relax? If I relax, all the shit that's in my head, if I relax, it's that's when I'm gonna you know how they say, you could think that you're in control and you could think that you're, you know, you have a level up on some things or some people or certain situations, but there's also, you know, there's that one that's more powerful than anything and anyone else, right? So those thoughts come into my head. And that's why it's easy for me to come on here and tell people doing the right thing is a lot harder than doing the wrong thing because I do the right thing all the time. I do the right thing every chance I get. When it comes to me, I might not do the right thing all the time and every chance I get because we take advantage of the things that we have. We take advantage of the people that we have because we think that they're going to be there, because we think that we're going to be here. So people don't try to get into shape until their latter years, until they can't get up. Then they want to go and figure out what's the problem, right? For me, I've been running since I was 2. I've been playing soccer since I was 2. I've been an athlete since I was 2. So my whole entire life was just exercise, training, practice, and then play. So it was always tests, it was always practice and tests. Either it was in school or it was on the field. And when I got off the field, it was the same with my father. You know, it was the way that he was raised. So it inadvertently rubbed off on him the way he raised me. But seeing him work 2 jobs in 2 different countries, you know, seeing him do the things that he did and still doing, goodness gracious, why am I having to clear my throat so much? Hold on. Hopefully this is better. But seeing my father work 2 different jobs in 2 different countries, you know, it just made my work ethic become that much more important to me, you know? He always taught me, stop complaining, so I never found anything to complain about. What I do is I just find solutions. I live my life as as honest as I possibly can, you know, especially when nobody's looking. I don't care what nobody see when they, I don't care what nobody say when they see me. I'll still do what the hell I want when they looking. So I don't give a damn what anybody got going on when they not looking. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the future not being still, right? Because they say still waters run deep, but still waters also turn into swamps. Stuff get mucky. You can't see to the bottom because there's not a flow. It's not a clear flow. So you can't see to the bottom. You can't you can't find things when it's lost. You got a cluttered mind. There's a bunch of swamp animals in there, low level entities in there, a bunch of bullshit in there. You don't really want to eat nothing out of there. So when you say stuff to people, they don't really want to listen to you. They don't really want to hear what you got to say because you're not a flow. You're a still water. And I can't stay still because the world is always evolving and always moving forward. And the devil is always working. And I have my objective and I have my responsibilities while I'm here on this planet, existing in this reality. I feel like I really feel like we one of them superheroes, right? You got a regular day job and then you know, you fight evil afterwards, on the off shift. That's how a lot of us are. And that's why I say we work together apart because ultimately we're fighting for the same, we're fighting for the same cause. I don't care to be in the front seat. I would rather ride in the back, rolling up, chilling, right? Because when shit hits the fan, the ones in the front, they're gonna bear the butt of everything. But while I'm riding in the back seat, it's not because I don't want to drive. It's because it's not my turn to drive. It's not my car, right? So when I get my car, I'm gonna be driving. I'm gonna be responsible for taking the butt of whatever comes, right? That's why I'm on the front line. That's why I'm a spiritual warrior, right? I've known since I was yay high that I was a soldier in the Lord's army because of the music that we make. You know, we listen to conscious music. You listen to any Bob Marley song, and that's my first musical idol, right? 50 Cent, my first favorite rapper because my dad had got his album, and then once he turned it on and I heard that, it was turns out it was bullets that was being emptied out on the table, but I thought it was one of those big ass 50 cents, and they was just spinning it on the table. So my dad had got one of those 50 cents, and he was just spinning it on the table, and it sounded just like the track. But that's neither here nor there, right? Kind of got off track, but you know, I'm just gonna come back full circle so I can leave y'all with some warm energy because, like we are apart fighting together, we're fighting for the same cause, right? Children of tomorrow. We might be the last of that past, but I like to call myself the first of a new ancient, right? The new ancient. Because we believe in reincarnation. And believe it or not, whatever you believe, you don't really find out ultimately until you leave. So whatever anybody says is completely up to speculation until you leave. And none of us are getting out alive. So that's why I came on here and I like to channel towards the feelings. Because if it doesn't feel right, then it isn't right. And if it feels wrong, you always go down that road and realize that it was wrong the whole time. So why not go with what you feel and not what you're told to feel or what you're told to do? Go inside of you. And then you'll be able to figure out something. I do it all the time, every day. I go inside of me. I look at myself and I judge myself, right? And then I fix myself. And then what I can't fix, I don't try to fix it. I learned that. I embrace that. I accept that. I know that. I believe it and I am aware of it. Remember. Oh yeah, that reminds me. Let me give y'all the other 5 fingers of life before I get off here. Alright, so we're going to go over the first 5, right? It's awareness, then it's belief, then knowing, then acceptance, and embrace. Then you have adapt, become, overcome, transform, evolve. It's like the 10 Commandments, but it's the 10 fingers of life. Hope that helps. Love y'all. Have a fantastic evening. Leave a comment. Leave a like. Share this video. You know, if it resonates with you, or if you think somebody else might like it too, or if it might resonate with them.